I'm Mitchell Wassam. I am starting my third year of college coaching experience, and I've helped in some junior high stuff. I coached football for 3 years and then basketball for the last year. My dad was a coach, so I learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot, especially in this past year. Some of the things I've learned the most about, obviously you learn strategies and X's and O's in all sports, but it's been more about player management and like game control type stuff that has been the most useful. And my experience with football was much different than that in basketball, because I started being a student assistant coach with the football team as a sophomore in college. So as a position coach at the tight ends, where I was coaching kids that were actually older than me. So I had to grow up in a hurry. But also being an assistant coach for the most part, I've had to find the line between like the player-coach relationship, because a lot of times the assistant coaches become responsible for kind of not being a friend role, but being the pick-me-up role, knowing when to be buddy-buddy and when you need to be their coach and set things down. But I feel like that relationship has become easier to develop, and the relationships with the players have become better for that. So finding that fine line has been another valuable coaching experience I've gained in the last couple of years.
So we're going to talk about players a little bit. How do you deal with uncoachable athletes or lazy athletes that have a lot of ability? Is there any specific way you think dealing with them is the best?
That has been one of the most trying and most difficult things, especially seeing it at a football and then at basketball. There's just, and again, I think that comes down to the psychology of not only players, but male and female. Situations are handled completely different. I think with the uncoachable athlete, it's definitely very situational. Important questions I think to think about are, why is this player uncoachable? Have they had a bad experience in the past with a coach, whether it's high school or at a previous college, that makes them uncoachable? Or are their parents too hands-on and their parents trying to override things that the coach says? And so you got to see that. What are you fighting? Are you fighting with the player? Are you fighting with something at home? What makes them uncoachable? I think handling that situation becomes difficult, especially when you don't want to cross a boundary or a line, because you don't want to ruin your player-coach relationship by being too hard or too soft on a player when they're uncoachable. So I would say it depends individually on uncoachable. And then I think with the lazy athlete that's extremely talented, that's another thing you got to look at their situation. Did they come from a really small school where they were always, the big man on campus or the king of the hill type of situation where they didn't have to work hard? They were just more natural and gifted than the other athletes? Or do they not work hard because they've kind of gotten into a groove where they can do just enough to where they're still performing at a decent level, but they don't have to exert a lot of energy and maximize their potential? And I think with those athletes that kind of underperform or don't work to their potential, it's motivation. That's where a coach needs to become a motivator, especially in practice and outside of a game-like setting, because that's where those skills and tendencies are going to be broken, of where they can't just relax and do whatever they please. They need to give it their all at all times. Not only because of that they're letting themselves down, but their teammates are counting on them because they know they can do better. So I would say with somebody that doesn't work hard, it needs to be put into perspective of, this isn't just affecting you. Look at, do you want to let your teammates down too? Kind of a thing.
So you're pretty early in your coaching career. Have you developed a philosophy yet, or found one that you like?
That's something I'm still testing the waters on. Obviously, I'm a high energy. I like to be high energy with a lot of the coaching that I do. Philosophy that I would do, I would definitely say hands-on. I like to use a hands-on philosophy. I like to try and be involved as much as I can. I think early on I tried to do too much and overcorrect every rep. I tried to correct on every rep when sometimes you need to watch 2 or 3 of the same reps, and then if this mistake is made multiple times, then correct. Or if it's self-corrected after the first time, then you don't need it. So kind of scaling back on the amount of correction.
What are your future plans for coaching?
That's another big debate, and especially being young in the coaching realm. The more and more I've been a part of the college, I've liked it more, and it's become a passion. But at the same time, since I was a freshman in high school, I've known that I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to teach. Now, coaching is an extension of teaching because you're still teaching people skills in a different setting, though. So if I had the opportunity to stay in college, I think that I would, and continue my education, and maybe at some point in time teach in a college setting, because then you're still mentoring students, not only students but also athletes within that realm.